Are the Cubs going to be patient with Shaw? And what has he done to give me an indicator that he's worth sticking with? Because I'm going to tell you why he is worth sticking with on the show. We're going to talk about the rookie struggling over at third base. Former Cub Mark Teixeira is going to manage the Team USA and the World Baseball Classic and more right here on the Cubs baseball channel, including the Cubs option with Justin Steele out for that fifth starter spot. All that right now coming up. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's get this thing started. Great to see you guys today. And let's get it going. Go Cubs. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs baseball channel. Great to see you today. Let's talk a little bit of Cubs. They play the Dodgers late tonight, so that means you can watch this video, relax, get something to eat, work, and then take a nap, and then take another nap, and then the game starts. It's a late night game in L.A., but Cubs and Dodgers, it'll be Boyd against Yamamoto. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But what I wanted to talk about today, my topic, is the Cubs struggling rookies at third base. And when you look through the lineup right now, you feel pretty good about the way that this team is performing. Michael Busch feels like he's on the verge of maybe having another good season, maybe even becoming a breakout superstar. You got Seiya Suzuki, who's had some big games. Dansby Swanson is hitting the ball this year, something that will make this team win. And when you look at their record, I still think he's the most important player on the team. You know, Nico, the catchers have driven in some runs. Ian Happ still doing Ian Happ stuff. He seems to figure out a way to help out. Pete Crow Armstrong, when he gets on base, is amazing. And then obviously Tucker, that may be the best player in baseball so far this year, and I hope that continues. But the question that everybody has is, what about third base? What about Matt Shaw over at third base? And this is the Cubs' first-round pick from a couple of years ago. He's not a big guy. He's not intimidating, but he is consistent. And he has not really, I want to say, has not hit the ball well yet this season. Now, you're talking about a handful of games at the beginning of the year. But, when you're batting 170 and you got a home run and 3 batted in through, 47 at bats, people start to worry, right? Shaw's obviously very talented. I mean, he was the number 13 overall pick in the 23 draft out of Maryland, right? And there's a reason why the Cubs feel like they can count on him eventually. What I want to say is this, is that when you make a transition from the minor leagues to the major leagues, it takes time. It is not an easy transition. It hasn't been easy for a lot of great players. And that includes guys like Ryne Sandberg. I talked about this on the show maybe yesterday, but I wanted to dig into it deeper because I wanted to tell you why I feel like Shaw is going to be fine. But will the Cubs have patience to let him get there? That's the other question, right? It's tough because it is a do or die business. And this is I've said it before, it feels like it could be a transitional season for the front office. And that transition would be everyone fired at the end of the year or contracts not renewed if the Cubs don't really prove something. You give somebody, you don't extend a person, a front office person. You're basically saying, hey, you're on borrowed time unless something changes, right? And I feel like there's been a sense of urgency. And I feel like the lineup's pretty solid right now. Even Pete Crow Armstrong's such a weapon that even though he's off to a slow start, he gets on base and he's able to do a lot, right? So why do I feel good about Matt Shaw? First off, you've got to deal with the growing pains. That's with any young player. Is Matt Shaw going to be Chris Bryant? Is he going to be Javi Baez? Is he going to be Anthony Rizzo? No. I mean, he's going to be Matt Shaw. And Matt Shaw is a consistent player. It's a different type of star than you look at the guys who have those monster games and it's a big flash. He's just consistent. He is a consistent type guy. He's going to play consistently good defense. He's going to consistently run the bases well. He's going to give you quality at bats, which is something that this team has done. He is getting overpowered at times. But the thing that I told you before he even played a game in the major leagues, and if you watch this channel, you know, it's that he's got a good plate approach. And that is why he's going to be successful. And when you look at his stats, is he getting hits? Not many. Okay. And I have said it on here before. Hits are better than walks. They're not because more good things happen when you get hits to me. I know you got 1,000% chance to make it. Yeah. But bigger things happen when you're hitting the ball. And they're also demoralizing, although I guess walks can be too. But I like them both, right? And what he does when he's struggling is that he walks. And we're seeing him do that. He is consistently getting on base. So his on base percentage is way higher than his batting average. So, you know, when you look at his batting average and you're like, man, the guy's batting 170, but then he's got a 316 on base percentage, he is contributing. And even over the last 7 games, he's walked 7 times. He's only struck out 6 times. So his on base percentage over the last 7 games is 370. And I saw him do this in the minor leagues, and he's doing it in the big leagues. And that is, it takes a little while to kind of come in and figure it out. And I saw him struggle, but I saw him walk, and I'm seeing him do the same thing. And then all of a sudden the light switch goes off, and this guy is a pest, and opposing pitchers are not going to want to deal with him. He's just a ball. He's got a lot more power than you think for a guy his size, for a guy that's like 5'10". He gets a lot into the ball. He gets a really good at bat. He's got good hands. Be patient with this guy because I think that he's going to be fine. And then the other guy is Gage Workman. You know, the Cubs really haven't used Workman. He's got to stay on the roster for the Cubs to keep him. And I'm sure to them, it's a little bit of a dilemma because, you know, if you're only going to use him for like 6 at bats, then, you know, to me, it's like at some point, you know, you would have him in the minor leagues, but you don't because you just don't have a spot for him. You'd have to send him back to the Tigers if he was in the minor leagues, right? So, you know, what the Cubs are doing right now, I guess, is just kind of figuring out a way to use him some. We haven't seen him a lot. I wonder if it is realistic to think that he'll be on the team when, in May and June, or eventually he'll get sent back to the Tigers. That happens with Rule 5, big league Rule 5 guys. Remember the other thing is Brujan has been on the IL. What happens when he comes back? You know, you traded Matt Mervis to get him. You know, you're just going to give him away, or are you going to have to choose? Or somebody else going to get hurt? I'm sure they're just kind of saying, hey, go down and get some at bats, get ready, and then when that time comes, if they have to make a decision, they'll make that. I still think the chances are Gage Workman ends up back with the Tigers at some point, but we'll see what happens. It's hard to stash those Rule 5 guys, you know, because the Tigers don't want to give them up, and the Cubs would love to have him, and you know we'll keep an eye on that. But he's got like 6 at bats this season, so they're not even using him. One of our former Cubs that we really liked, and a very popular Cub, was Mark DeRosa, and Mark DeRosa was traded to the Cubs in the Chris Archer deal, and Chris Archer was a throw-in in that trade, by the way, and then we eventually traded him to Tampa Bay, and he ended up having a great career. One of those trades that, you look at and go, man, I wish we could have had that one back. But anyway, DeRosa was a Cubs favorite, and he ended up going to Cleveland in the trade. And now he is everyone's favorite commentator on the MLB network. And with that said, he is going to manage the MLB team, the USA team in the World Baseball Classic. So pretty cool. I don't know. Do people think of him as a Cub? I mean, he played for the Braves and a bunch of other teams, but I do. And it's crazy to think that the guy's 50 years old now, but this will be his second time managing in the World Baseball Classic. He helped lead them to the championship game in 2023. And they lost that epic game to Japan 3-2. Remember that? Ohtani struck out Mike Trout to end the game. Michael Hill is going to be the general manager, And then Mark DeRosa is going to be the guy that manages the team. So he's the co-host of MLB Central on the MLB Network. 16 seasons in the major leagues. Great personality. Obviously was on two really good Cubs teams, 2007 and 2008, two of my favorite Cubs teams, and helped them win back-to-back titles in the Central. I love those teams, and I wish that they would have played better in the postseason because they were good. So we wish him the best, as he manages and hopefully for us anyway in the United States. And I know you guys are watching from all over the world, but we want to win this time. So best of luck to him. All right. Final thing I want to get to on the show today is Justin Steele on the IL, and it is a 15-day IL stint. How long is he really going to be on the IL? We don't know. The Athletic, always great work with our friend Patrick Mooney and the crew over there. Those guys are great. And they did some math for us. 4 days off over the next 2 weeks could get the Cubs away from needing a fifth starter only once if Steele is on the IL for a minimum stay. So we don't know if he's on the IL for a minimum stay. But what we do know is that you could use the other four guys. And I don't know. I mean, how comfortable are you with Ben Brown? I kind of put a show out the other day. You can go back and watch it. I think that there's a chance that his rotation spot could have been on the line because he hasn't performed very well, and you have other options. So now you wonder, like, when's Javier Assad going to be ready? What can you count on him? Do you go down and get Jordan Wicks and bring him back up? Do you put Colin Ray, who's been fantastic so far this season, out of the bullpen and throw him into that spot? They'll have some time to think about it. But the fact that Ben Brown has been struggling kind of makes this a little bit of a moot point to me, unless he picks it up. And we know he's got the potential to do that. Just got to be more consistent with his location. He's got great breaking stuff. But, will he be able to do that? And where the Cubs, where are they going to be with this rotation? That's the question we're going to ask as this thing rolls on. But the best case scenario is that you get Steele back, a minimum stay, rest the elbow, and he gets back after it again. And what's the shame of it is he pitched his best game. We finally saw like the Justin Steele that we missed. And I'm sure Craig Counsell's like, man, I faced this guy. He was so good when I was in Milwaukee. I need that guy back. We got him back, and now he's hurt. So anyway, but the good thing about where the Cubs rotation is right now is that they have some options. The depth is already being tested. It's not just in Chicago. Look at the Dodgers. Look at a bunch of other teams that are dealing with pitchers that are injured as part of the game, and especially when you try to throw the ball as hard as you can every time, like they do now, you're going to have more injuries. I don't even think that's a bad statement to say. All right, guys. Look, thank you for being here and hanging out. Mentioned that the Cubs play the Dodgers. That is a late night game, and I'm sure that all of you are going to stay up for every pitch at 9:10 Central Time when the Cubs are in Chavez Ravine to take on the Dodgers. Cubs are 9-6. Dodgers are 10-4. It'll be Boyd going at it again. Matthew Boyd, he's been great. Yamamoto for the Dodgers, 1-0, no earned run average yet for Boyd because he hasn't given up a run. Yamamoto 1-1 with a 1.69 ERA, and that again at 9:10 tonight. So enjoy the action, guys. And that is our show. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thanks for being here and hanging out, and we will do it again really soon, maybe tomorrow. Yeah, let's do it tomorrow. Go Cubs.